Listen, without interrupting, without trying to interpret, just listen. Someone is opening up right now, unprepared, unprotected, not by choice, but by exhaustion. There are things that have been stuck for far too long, silences that hurt more than words, and today it won't be kept inside anymore. It's not about courage, it's a necessity. What comes next won't be repeated. And after this, nothing will be the same. Listen, because the truth doesn't wait, doesn't ask for permission, doesn't give a warning. It simply arrives. And now, it is here. Someone has spent too long in silence, too long swallowing everything they shouldn't, pretending to be strong when everything inside was breaking. No one saw, no one asked, and if they did ask, they didn't want to hear the real answer. This person won't use pretty words, they don't want pity. They're not looking for excuses. There's no room for that anymore. The truth is that it hurt, and it still hurts. The absence, the neglect, the coldness, the way everything turned to nothing, even after so much. This isn't exaggeration. It's not drama. It's a fact, and those who feel know. There were days when everything felt dark inside, days when silence seemed safer than any conversation, because speaking meant exposing oneself, and every time someone exposed themselves, they were ignored. So they stopped. They stopped trying, they stopped waiting, they stopped believing that anything would change. But now something has broken inside, and there's no way to glue it back together the same way. There was no explosion, there were no screams, just silence. That silence that comes after everything, after all the ignored attempts, after every empty glance that said it doesn't matter, after every swallowed word because it was safer to be quiet than to be misunderstood. This person is tired. Tired of being the one who always gives in. Tired of being the one who swallows everything to maintain the appearance of peace. Tired of accepting little, of accepting scraps, of accepting the bare minimum as if it were everything. No one asked if everything was okay when it wasn't. No one noticed the signs, and even if they had, they preferred not to see. They pretended everything was fine, and they waited for that person to do the same. They expected them to keep smiling, serving, enduring, but something changed. It changed inside, and there's no going back. Now, there's no more effort to maintain what has already died. There's no more trying to be understood by those who never wanted to understand. There's no more desire to insist on doors that have always been closed. The truth is that when everything falls apart, you discover who really cares. And the silence of those who claim to be close screams, louder than any argument, louder than any promise. This person stopped looking for signs, stopped waiting for actions that never came, stopped making excuses to justify absences. Now they just observe, cold, clear-headed, unfiltered, unveiled. And the truth is uncomfortable. Those who wanted to be there would have been. Those who cared would have shown it. Those who felt wouldn't have hidden it. It's no longer about pain. It's not about resentment anymore. It's about recognizing what has always been there, but was too hard to see. And now everything is laid out on the table, without fear, without embellishments. Those who want to listen, listen. Those who can't handle it, leave, because this person waited too long for others to stay. Now those who leave take nothing with them, and those who arrive only enter if they know how to remain. It's not about pride, it's not about who is right, it's about boundaries. Everyone has one, and that line was crossed a long time ago, but now it is being respected. There won't be a long explanation, there won't be a late apology, there won't be a rehearsal for reconciliation. This person understood that those who only show up when it's convenient never truly cared. Those who only speak when they need something never listened. Those who only seek when they want something never saw the other as a person, only as a function. And that's enough. No more maintaining ties that hurt more than they strengthen. Enough of walking where the ground is always unstable. Enough of talking to those who only respond out of obligation. This person has decided to stop. Stop chasing after. Stop insisting where there is no return. Stop getting lost trying to hold on to what is already gone. What was once waiting is now clarity. What was once hope is now peace with reality. There is no more room for illusions. And there's no need to prove anything anymore. No need to explain feelings anymore. No need to justify choices anymore. Those who understood remain silent, not the silence of omission, but the silence of presence. Those who did not understand leave as if they were never there. And that's okay, it doesn't hurt like it used to, because now it hurts clean. And clean pain heals. No one noticed when everything started to crumble little by little, when each disappointment pushed it a little further away, when every unspoken word became just another weight on the body. Now, it's no longer a weight. It's a cut. It's separation. It's a rupture. And it doesn't need to be accepted. It doesn't need to be understood. It just needs to be said. It is being said now, without fear, without a mask, without the intention to please. Whatever comes after this is not the speaker's problem. It's the listener's responsibility. Those who hear this now have two choices. Deny, just like they always did, or face what they have avoided for so long. There is no third option. There is no room for half measures. You either stay or you leave. This person learned the hard way that presence is not just a body. It's gesture, it's gaze, it's silence that embraces. And what existed most was absence disguised as convenience. Those who care show it. Those who want to act. Those who feel stay, even when everything weighs heavy. But what was seen were empty words, loose promises, and actions that never came. There were absences in the hardest moments. There were silences when everything inside was screaming. And now, there is no more illusion. Everything is clear, not because someone explained, but because no one made an effort. This person will not wait for messages that do not come. No more making excuses to justify what has no explanation. No more taking on blame that doesn't belong. Lightness comes when the truth enters. And it has entered. Cutting away what needed to be cut. Eliminating what was already dead, but insisted on pretending to be alive. There is no more trying to fix things, because you can't repair what was destroyed with neglect. You can't restore what was broken by indifference. Someone might hear this and feel uncomfortable. They might get upset, revolt, defend themselves. That's the problem of those who are bothered by the truth. This person is not speaking to convince. They are speaking to cleanse, to release what has been trapped for too long. Now this is it. The wound has been shown. Whoever wants to turn their face away can. Whoever wants to pretend they didn't hear it can pretend. But what was said, and it won't be wiped away. After this, nothing will be repeated. There will be no return to this conversation, because everything that needed to be said has already been said. What wasn't seen won't be shown. What wasn't felt won't be forced. This person will no longer carry what isn't theirs. They won't take steps toward those who remain still. They won't shout where only silence responds. If someone is bothered by the tone, the harshness, the coldness, they should ask themselves why it needed to be said this way. Because no one hardens out of nowhere. No one closes their heart for no reason. It was the time. It was the absences. It was the repetition of neglect. This person is tired of waiting for change from those who see no problem. Tired of waiting for presence from those who only offer excuses. Tired of building alone what should be mutual. It's not about hatred, it's not about revenge, it's about closing things off, a clean closure. Dry, true. Whoever looks at this and sees exaggeration hasn't truly listened. Whoever reads this and thinks it's unfair has never been on the right side of history. This message does not ask for a response. It doesn't seek understanding. It doesn't look for sympathy. It's just the final release. It's the period. It's the end. From here on, each with their own conscience. Each with what they gave or failed to give. Each with what they lost when they thought they could keep going without offering anything. That person will move on. Without fanfare. Without announcement. Without looking back. Because what has been said here was everything. And it won't be repeated. That person won't explain themselves again. They won't diminish themselves to fit into spaces that were never meant for them. They won't bend anymore in front of others' neglect. It's over. And it's not a bitter ending. It's a clear ending. It's looking back and understanding that everything had a limit, and that the limit was crossed so many times it became shameful to have stayed. Shame for having insisted. Shame for having believed that respect was something that could be asked for. Respect is not begged for. Presence is not demanded. Love is not asked for politely. That person has nothing more to offer where there is no reciprocity. Because love alone cannot sustain a relationship. Because one-sided effort is sacrifice, not care. And those who never saw this will now understand in the echo of silence. That person is leaving, but not in anger. They are leaving in peace, with the knowledge that they did everything they could, because now it's about life, about emotional health, about stopping the begging for affection in places where affection is a currency of exchange. That person is tired of the unfair exchange, where they gave presents and received absence, where they offered words and received silence, where they cried and heard, "You're exaggerating." They are not exaggerating. They never were. It just hurt too much for too long. And those who never cared about others' pain will now learn to live with the absence of those who were always there. Those who have read this far might be trying to understand what happened, but the truth is that it had happened a long time ago. What you read now is just the final reflection, the inevitable conclusion, because it makes no sense to ask for one more chance when all the previous ones were ignored. It makes no sense to come with a speech now, after so much complicity and silence. It's no use acting surprised when the signs were in every gesture. This person didn't stop loving, but they stopped insisting, because love can't be chained to pain. It can't continue where everything is exhausting, where every gesture becomes a struggle, where every response turns into judgment. Do you see that? This person just wanted to be heard, to be noticed, to be validated, but they were silenced, neglected, erased. And now, they've disappeared. They vanished inside before disappearing outside. They emptied themselves until understanding that this was no longer about saving the relationship. It was about saving themselves. Enough. Enough of fighting alone. Enough of playing strong when everything inside was screaming for care. Enough of being the mature one, the understanding one, the one who endures everything. They can't endure any longer, and they don't have to. This person decided not to accept less than they deserve. They decided to stop explaining what's basic. They decided to follow a path where there is reciprocity, where there is presence, where there is truth. Because if there's one thing they learned, it's that presence isn't just about who stays, it's about who cares. And what they had were many bodies present with absent souls, automatic phrases with empty intentions, promises made with words, never with the heart. And that is exhausting. It's tiring to have to translate feelings all the time. It's draining to beg for someone to listen. It's exhausting to be misinterpreted just for expressing what you feel. This person is not hurt, they're just exhausted. Exhausted from being the support for others without having anyone to lean on. Exhausted from smiling in photos and collapsing alone in their room. Exhausted from appearing whole on the outside and falling apart on the inside. They held on for so long, but now they've let go. Let go of what was holding them back. Let go of what weighed them down. Let go of what gave nothing in return. Whoever wants to understand, go ahead. Whoever doesn't can move on, but this person moves on too, with a clear soul, with a peaceful heart, and with the certainty that they will never accept so little again. From now on, those who want to be in their life will have to show it, will have to prove it through their actions. You really have to be present, because those who have spent too much time alone are no longer afraid of loneliness. This person does not hold on to anger, they hold on to lessons. And the biggest lesson was this: those who don't know what they have lose, and they lose without warning, without a scene, without a scandal. They just lose, little by little, until one day there's no one left. It's that day, and it has arrived. So now everything is clear. What seemed like silence was a muffled scream. What seemed like coldness was accumulated pain. What seemed like indifference was the last effort from someone who had nothing left to give. This person is no longer trying to prove anything. They don't want to be seen by those who always chose to look the other way. They will no longer beg for emotional crumbs as if they were asking for air to keep breathing. Now it's the end. No suspense, no turning back. What has been left unresolved can stay that way. What was never spoken will not be anymore. What was not felt will no longer be demanded. Because this person finally understood that it is not their responsibility to carry what others have let fall. They held on to everything they could, even things that weren't theirs. They believed that silence was a phase, that absence was distraction, that lack of care was weariness. But it wasn't. It was a choice. And when someone chooses not to care, they choose to lose. Those who do not listen to the pain hear the silence of goodbye. Those who do not welcome the truth will one day feel the absence of those who were always there. This person has reached their limit. And it's not just any emotional limit. It's the breaking point where the heart can no longer bend to fit into someone else's absence. They don't want a fight. They don't want confusion. They want to distance themselves from what hurts disguised as affection. They want peace, but real peace, not that fake peace that demands silence in exchange for acceptance. Now, only what cares remains. Only what makes sense stays. Only those who know how to remain are welcome. And if someone is reading this right now and feels a lump in their throat, maybe it's time to revisit where they've been when it was most necessary to be present. Because those who have always been fully involved get tired of breaking apart alone. This person doesn't feel anger. They feel liberation. Because carrying absence is one of the cruelest weights. And now they've let go. They've let it all go. Let go of the fear. Let go of the attachment. Let go of the constant attempt to make room for someone who never truly wanted to stay. Today, they choose themselves. Without remorse. Without excuses. Without looking back. And if you've made it this far, if you felt this text as if it were written inside you, if you recognized each word as a mirror or as a wound, then this message isn't just for them, it's for you too. So speak up, don't hold back, comment, say here below, I felt every word, and from now on, I choose the truth. Because yes, this message will reach those who need it, and maybe you are that someone, or perhaps you know someone who didn't have the strength to say all this out loud. Leave a like if this message resonated with you. Share it with those who deserve to hear this truth. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Because here, the soul finds words. And words heal.